Hey fellow stock guardians, it's Friday, April 23rd, 2021. I'm Hoda, co-founder and CEO of StockGuard, reporting to you from a green stock market. I looked into the stock market indices movements, created a watch list for value investors, and discussed why it's time to invest in EV charging stocks. The market indices recovered from yesterday's capital gain tax rate hike proposal by President Biden's administration. If approved, one possible reaction could be a giant sell-off in advance of the rate hike by wealthy investors to lock their tax rates bracket. For now, there is nothing definitive about the proposal, and investors seem to have forgotten about it today. Today, at the weekly meet and greet session with fellow stock guardians, we discussed a new watch list for value investors. I liked the research and the result, so I thought I'd share them with you. We went to the screener page and created a new filter and discussed the criteria we would need to consider if we were value investors. First off, we focused on bigger and more established companies above 10 billion in market capitalization. We also discussed that a value stock is most likely a stock with solid operations but an undervalued price. Therefore, we focused on a strong sales track record, a strong earnings track record, and no cash concerns. We also narrowed down the list by focusing on undervalued stocks. The result is a list of 30 stocks that could potentially create an excellent starting point for you if you are a value investor. Here are some good names to consider: Vertex Pharmaceutical, Regeneron Pharmaceutical, Alexion Pharmaceutical, a lot of pharmaceuticals, D.R. Horton, which is a home builder if I'm not mistaken, and even a Progressive Group. So those are some of the starting points that you may want to consider. I leave a link to this watch list in the show notes in case you'd like to copy the screener in your own account. The other interesting piece of news today is an update by Honda about its plans to transition to an all-electric car manufacturer by 2040. This type of announcement isn't an isolated event. We've seen GM committing to the same transition. Even Toyota has announced a lineup of 15 EV products. So combine those news with the forecast by International Energy Agency IEA that the gas consumption has already reached its peak year, and from here onward the annual gasoline consumption is taking a downward direction. And as investors, we should think about adding EV stocks and investments to our long-term portfolios. It's difficult to say which car manufacturer would win the race due to the presence of both existing car manufacturers such as GM and new startups such as Fisker or NIO in the race. What is intriguing to me is the infrastructure that would enable the world's transition to electric vehicles. When we launched the EV list of stocks on StockGuard, we discussed subsegments of the market: electric vehicles manufacturing, lithium batteries, electric vehicle charging, electric trucks, and electric bikes. Among those, EV charging subsegment is an apparent and important infrastructure to support such a global transition, in my point of view. If you agree with me, there is a list of 8 electric vehicle charging stocks on StockGuard if you type in electric vehicle charging in the search bar. I plan to dig into these stocks and add a few to my long-term portfolio. Let me know if you're also interested in any of these stocks and why. This weekend, if you have a few minutes, give a StockGuard a try, research as many stocks as you want, and consider following a few successful investors that share their portfolios on StockGuard. You can also sign up for a 14-day free trial with promo code ROLLWITHOURCEO, all lowercase and in one word. And as always, help us grow the StockGuard community by liking, subscribing, and sharing these daily market recap reports with your fellow investors. See you next week.